My peoples, my peoples. Y'all already know who I am. Jay Smith in the building, in the flesh. This is Box Center, your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Today we're gonna be talking about Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. Um, well, y'all seen what just happened. They were in negotiations, about to fight each other, and all of a sudden, the news comes out that Teofimo Lopez pulled out of the fight and it's no longer happening. Obviously that was disappointing. You know, it was. It seemed like it was already a done deal. Actually, it was reported that it was a done deal, and then shortly after, Devin tweeted, "Nah, I signed my part of the contract, but he didn't want to sign something like that." And now Teofimo Lopez is saying that, or suggesting that there was bias, and that being that Devin is of a certain religion, he's a Muslim, and he tried to basically suggest that His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh, being also a Muslim, that fight was gonna favor Devin Haney, that he had to knock him out to win. That's what Teofimo Lopez says. So basically, according to him, he pulled out because he felt like now he's gonna get cheated. I don't know. I don't know why he felt that way, or why would Teofimo even enter in negotiations with Devin Haney if he felt like that was the situation he would be in. So it just doesn't really make sense. But that's his perspective. He was gonna get cheated. And now we have Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez who were going to fight each other, and now they're not. So what is next? What's next? Is Teofimo gonna fight at the welterweight division? Is Devin gonna fight at welterweight? Are they, going to fight a top level opponent, or what's next? Remember that before entering in negotiations with Devin Haney, Teofimo was actually trying to get something done with Jerome Boots Ennis, but Boots turned him down. So I guess as of right now, when it comes to Teofimo, Boots is out of the question, and so is Devin, of course, because he pulled out of that fight. What's going to be next for Teofimo, and what's going to be next for Devin? What, both fighters, I think it would have been a great fight. Teofimo versus Devin, wow, that would have been a great fight, man. Too bad Teofimo felt the way that he does. Maker Jay Smith, what's good? What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. So yeah, that's the magic question, man. What is next for Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney? Taking into account Teofimo, he got declined by Jerome Boots Ennis. So he's not fighting Boots, and obviously now we know he's not fighting Devin. So what's next for him? Is he gonna fight at the welterweight division, or what is he gonna do? And then there's Devin Haney. Who is he gonna fight next? So I think it's interesting to see how we went from being excited, celebrating that these two guys were about to fight each other, to wondering what's next for each one. Because that's the thing. The moment Teofimo decides to pull out of that fight, you don't know what's next for either fighter. You just don't know. I will say, I hope that Teofimo, gets a top level opponent, and Devin does as well. A big name. I don't know, because Oscar De La Hoya said that Ryan Garcia was not gonna rematch Devin Haney, but I think that they should consider making that fight. Because I know that at the end of the day, it's all about the money. It's a business. So if it's gonna make money, if Ryan Garcia want to fight Devin, Devin want to fight Ryan, make that fight happen. Make that rematch. Right now, Devin Haney doesn't have an opponent, and neither does Ryan. Make that rematch. That's it. I think that's the direction they should go in. But if they don't want to make the rematch, let's see what's gonna happen with Devin. Is he gonna fight at the welterweight division? And the same with Teofimo Lopez. I'm gonna remind you, at one point, Bill Haney said that Devin want boots. Are they gonna try to pursue a fight with Jerome Boots Ennis? I don't know. We'll see. But those are all fights that I'm interested in. If it's Devin Haney, whether it's Jerome Boots Ennis, Connor Ben at the welterweight division, Blair Cobb. There's multiple fighters Devin Haney could face that would be a very interesting fight. Even Rollies. Devin versus Rollies is a good fight. Don't get it twisted. Um, let's see. Let's see how it all plays out. I'm I'm looking forward to seeing who Devin is gonna fight next, who Teofimo Lopez is gonna fight next. Wish they would have fought each other. Really wish they would have fought each other. Wanted to see how that fight plays out. You know, and I told people that was not gonna be a boring fight. You know, some of you who told me, "Oh, nah, Jay, this fight is gonna be boring because look at Devin's last fight. He was on his footwork." I'm gonna tell you what. Just remember Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko. If y'all remember, Haney versus Lomachenko was an exciting fight. It was an entertaining fight. Why? Because Lomachenko pressed the action and Devin Haney had to react. So he was counter punching a lot. And he had to let his hands go. He edged that fight by split decision, if I'm not mistaken. So Devin Haney showed, that if you press him, he gonna let them hands go. Period. We saw it in that fight. And I believe this one would have played out the same way. Teofimo Lopez would have tried to press Dev, and Devin would have fought back. It would have been a very interesting fight. But that's it. Moving on from Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney, my people. That fight is not going to happen, unfortunately. So what is next for Devin Haney? Hopefully we find out soon. And the same with Teofimo Lopez. I want to see. Damn, I got some goddamn flies up in here. Maker. What weight class is Subriel Matias campaigning at these days? So he's going to fight Alberto Puello. If I'm not mistaken, that's at 140. Alberto Puello is the champion, by the way. Subriel Matias is going to fight on the same card as Shakur Stevenson. It's going to be Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Shiraz. Yo, that's a fight. That's going to be a real good fight. That's good. Berlanga could make me a believer again. If he is able to beat Shiraz convincingly, he'll make me a believer because Shiraz can fight. Then it's Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. And right before them is Alberto Puello versus Subriel Matias. The first fight is David Morrell. I'm not sure who he's fighting, but it's David Morrell. So that card is stacked, bro. Think about it. First fight, David Morrell. Second fight, we got Subriel Matias getting his first title shot since he lost versus, I just said his name, Alberto Puello. Then Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. And then, of course, the main event, Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Shiraz. That's a card, B. That card is stacked. Maker, damn, that's a card. I was just wondering if Subriel is at that Haney or Teo weight class. At 140, he right there. He could fight them. He could fight you right there. So, but it's gonna be interesting, Subriel, he got a chip on his shoulder. You gotta remember, he lost, and after he lost, he came back with two very low profile fights. His first fight back was in a very small venue in Puerto Rico versus a guy we never heard of, an okay fighter. And then his second fight back, it was the same thing, a smaller venue, a decent fighter that we don't really know. He did what he was supposed to do. So after losing, he didn't just come back, straight for a title shot and straight for the big guns. He came back real slow. And now he's finally back for a title shot. His third fight back. And Alberto Puello, he can box. Subriel Matias, listen, this is, I would say, Subriel Matias' Achilles heel. He takes too much punishment. As you guys know, he has a very high knockout percentage. So obviously, if he's going to knock you out, he's not too worried about the scorecards. But he takes too much punishments. He's actually won some very close fights. Before he lost to, was it Leon Parro that beat him? Was it Leon Parro? Or Josh Taylor? I can't remember right now. But, oh no, it was Parro, Leon Parro. Before Subriel Matias even lost to Leon Parro, he had one loss before that. But he had a couple of fights where they were real close. Why? Because he gets behind on the cards. He take a lot of punishment in order to go in there and knock you out. Angry Mexican, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you dropping in. So Subriel Matias, he takes a lot of punishment and he's in there, and a very good boxer when it comes to Alberto Puello. With a very good boxer. So let's see. Let's see how that's good. Can Subriel Matias capture a title once again? We're going to find out. And then right after Subriel Matias does his thing and Alberto Puello does his, we're going to get Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. Ooh. Yes, I'm looking forward to that, of course. Zepeda is a pressure fighter. He's going to press the gas. He's going to try to apply pressure. And Shakur Stevenson is going to, apply that sweet science on him. And, of course, the main event, Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Shiraz. Like I said before, Hamza Shiraz is a very good fighter. If Edgar Berlanga can get past him, he'll make me a believer. Because I've been kind of like, with Berlanga, he could make me a believer once again. Angry Mexican. Teo signing with PBC, I'm hearing, to get a tank fight. Honestly, right now I find that hard to believe, but it could potentially happen. However, the only way that I'll believe that he's going to sign to get a tank fight is if that tank fight is part of the deal. But if he signs a deal, let's say a 3-fight deal, and Tank is not in that deal specifically, he ain't going to get no Tank fight. That shit is not happening. Angry Mexican, Shakur going to apply them track shoes. Haha. I don't know, man. I don't know. They used to say the same thing about Floyd Mayweather. And he retired as the greatest. Boys be crying. Teo signing with PBC. He fits well with it. I don't know, bro. I don't know that he fits well with PBC. Because who PBC got? Who PBC got for Teofimo Lopez? I love watching these boxers people call boring. Even William Skull fight. Casual boxing fans, they want to see Rock'em Sock'em Robot in every single fight. So they're like, yeah, he boring. But yeah, my brother, that's the magic question. Who PBC got for Teofimo Lopez outside of Tank Davis? Angry Mexican. I like Shakur a lot more than Skull. Skull came to Canelo fight to do cardio. Yeah, that was a bad fight. That was a bad fight. Skull appeared to be there just to survive, not to actually win the fight. Boys be crying. Gary Antoine Russell at 140. Maker. That's a good fight. I like that fight for Teofimo Lopez. That's a title shot. But remember, Teofimo Lopez has been toying with the idea of fighting at welterweight. So I don't even know if he's going to fight at 140 again. But that is a good fight. I like it. Maker. You think Shakur defense is up there with Floyd? Yes. Shakur Stevenson's defense is up there with Floyd. Just like Floyd Mayweather was the least hit fighter of his generation, Shakur Stevenson is the least hit fighter of this generation. So yes. Boys be crying. Rayo, they also had a backstory. Yeah, but Teofimo Lopez wouldn't be interested in Rayo, my brother. Not over a backstory. You got to understand, right now, Teofimo Lopez is trying to fight the big fights, fight the big names. Look, he was trying to fight Jerome Boots Ennis, who's right now a unified champion. Devin Haney, a reigning champion. Bro, he's not going to fight no Rayo for nothing. Like, oh, yeah, I want to fight him because, we don't like each other or whatever. So, honestly, I think right now, PBC, what they got to offer is Tank Davis and Gary Antoine Russell, and that's it. Unless you want to take, like one of these fights where it's like a tune-up, or it's, one of these opponents that's not really a big name like that. But PBC, they, when it comes to, in fact, it's not just in that division. Across all divisions, they shallow right now. They don't have a big roster. A lot of the people, the names. Subriel Matias, in fact, is one of those. Subriel Matias was a PBC fighter, and he left. So a lot of people, when when Showtime pulled the plug on boxing and they went to Amazon Prime, a lot of fighters left PBC. Boys be crying. Matchmaking right now is hard for Teofimo, but his PBC debut, it won't really matter. I think unless he completely signed with PBC and becomes a new star. I mean, what do you mean by becomes a new star? Teofimo Lopez is a star. But listen, star power comes with certain things. How much of a star you are, right? And to increase your star power, you also need to beat the big names to make those huge fights. Like if Teofimo Lopez would have fought Devin Haney, that would have been a big fight. If he would have fought Jerome Boots Ennis, that would have been a big fight. If he could fight Ryan Garcia, if he could fight Tank Davis, Teofimo Lopez still hasn't had that fight. He hasn't had it yet. Now, don't get it twisted, because he beat Vasil Lomachenko, right? He beat Loma. Don't get it twisted. And he beat Josh Taylor. But I'm talking about the guys, the young guys that are amongst his group, the so-called Four Kings. He hasn't been in there with any of them. And those guys will raise his profile or win over any of them. Maker. Man, let's stop playing and get Teo versus Keyshawn. I like that fight. I like that fight, brother. Keyshawn said he's down with it. He said he's down with it. Matter of fact, he's not just down with it. He would like to go through with that one. But it seems like Teofimo Lopez is not interested in fighting Keyshawn Davis. It looks that way. I don't know if that's the case, but it looks that way to me. Because Teofimo Lopez, he doesn't really mention Keyshawn's name unless they ask him about him. And he's never really expressed that he want to fight him. Angry Mexican, Dana White is back on promoting the Canelo Bud fight. I saw some video footage of Bud in gym, and he looks slow with the added weight. Boys, come on, you're going to say he looks slow with the added weight. Dude, you see him moving around, taking it easy. He's not even in training camp, but you talk about he looks slow with the added weight. You're already rooting against him, so you're going to say that. You're not a reliable source for how Crawford looks. Boys be crying. Karen will be a good fight for Teo at 147, especially to get that boost fight. I see no way he signs a big fighter. No way he fights a big fighter at 147. Maybe Norman. I don't know. Honestly, I think the Jerome Boost and his fight is off the table. I think that's off the table simply because Boost turned him down, and I don't think that he's going to change his mind. Unless Teofimo Lopez could become a world champion in the division, I don't see Boots changing his mind. So, you know that Boots is trying to pursue that fight with Brian Norman Jr. Brian Norman Jr. is fighting this month. So, I'm expecting him to defend his title successfully. And he wants to fight Boots. Matter of fact, my peoples, y'all could go back in this channel right here and see I did an interview with Brian Norman Jr.'s father. And he told me, we want Boots. That's the fight we want. So the man told me himself. Hopefully they can make that happen. And right there, one fight, you're unifying 3 titles. Angry Mexican, Keisha needs to rebuild at 140. Oh yeah, he's going, that's it, he's going to 140. You know, once a fighter tells you, hey, look, I can't make weight, I struggled, that's it, you know he's moving on to the next division. Angry Mexican, Conor Ben, if he come to 147, maybe. Blair Cobbs, still out there. Yeah, I like both of those fights. But they're both at 147. I would like to see Conor Ben and Blair Cobb. That's a fight I would like to see. Conor Ben versus Jerome Boost Ennis. That's a fight I would like to see. Blair Cobb versus Jerome Boost. Like, there's a lot of fights that could happen between those guys right there. Throw Teofimo Lopez in the mix. Conor Ben versus Teofimo Lopez also. Fireworks. Madge Lewis. Teo versus Barrios. Teo versus Barrios, Pac-Man winner. That's a good fight. I like it. Maybe they offer him that. Maker. And you see, if Teofimo Lopez get the winner and he can win a title, now he can say, well, Boots, if you want to become undisputed, come check in with me. So, if they offer him that, that's a good option. Maker, what do you think is next for Abdullah Mason? That brother is sharp. I think Abdullah Mason is going to end up fighting for the vacant WBO title. As you already know, Keyshawn Davis was stripped of that belt. And the WBO already said that Abdullah Mason was going to be the mandatory. So there you have it. Since Keyshawn got stripped, the title is now vacant. I believe Abdullah Mason. Now, I'm thinking it's a possibility that it could be Abdullah Mason versus Edwin De Los Santos for that vacant strap. Yes, sir. Why? De Los Santos was about to get a title shot. So, if he missed out on a title shot because Keyshawn Davis didn't make weight, then he should still get a title shot, right? Does that make sense? So I believe that we might actually get Abdullah Mason versus Edwin De Los Santos for that vacant title. Now, that's just me assuming. All it is. I'm putting the puzzle together. That's what makes sense to me. Boys be crying. You think Keyshawn should go with that villain energy now or change? At the end, he's a ring ambassador, right? Look, bro. Keyshawn Davis and his brother made a big mistake with what they did on Saturday. And They have to work on that. They have to work on that. Be yourself, have fun, but you don't attack an opponent. You don't attack anybody because they're behaving like they broke and back in the hood and struggling to survive and mad and bro, y'all niggas is rich. Y'all niggas made it. Y'all niggas is living your dreams. So you don't do some shit like that because legal action could be taken against you and you could lose a lot of things that you work real hard for. So no more fights. And I'm saying this because, they got into an altercation with Teofimo Lopez and his pops. I heard supposedly Keyshawn knocked Teofimo pops out. And now this. So, you guys got your own company, DB3. You're on the come up. You can't be getting in these type of situations. So I think, I hope that they learn from this mistake, that they start acting more professional, especially in public settings. And, they got to understand you guys are now role models. Little kids are looking up to y'all. You don't want little kids headbutting people because they heard Keyshawn Davis did it. Oh, there you have it, man. They definitely got to work on that. Boys be crying. Tito Mercado fight is canceled for Saturday. Why? Why was that fight canceled, my brother? They need to keep that hunger from the hood, but know when to use that energy. Hard to get brand deals from that also. Keyshawn, a star from his hometown. He can change a lot and gain a lot. But that's what I'm trying to tell you, my brother. Listen, at that level, you pass getting into fights and punching people in the face. You pass those levels, my brother. Where they at, you got security to handle business for you. You can't be, that's it. Those days are over that you gonna beat people up and you smack somebody if they talk funny. My boy, you get sued for millions. That's it. It's over. They can't do that no more. Not only you get sued for millions, but the worst part about it is that you won't become the star that you can become. Keyshawn Davis is a star, but his stock is rising. He could become a superstar. Acting like that, getting in trouble or getting into situations, physical altercations, can stop him from reaching superstardom. And he could get stuck right there. Like, this could be his peak. And it should not, right? Keyshawn Davis, inside the ring, he a special fighter. He got the personality. He got the looks. He could be a superstar. So they can't be fucking around like this. They can't. And to be honest, I'm disappointed with Keyshawn and Kelvin, because supposedly it was just them two. But I'm mostly disappointed with Keyshawn, because he's the face of that team. He's the face of DB3. So if anyone should know better, it's him. He's the one that's supposed to say, yo, fellas, hold on. Let's calm everything down. Let's get the hell out of here. We don't need this drama. He's the leader of that clan. Croc, shout out from Detroit. Do you think Errol Spence will get back to his winning ways like before? Croc, shout out to you, my brother, and shout out to all Detroit. Look, Errol Spence, I'm not too sure about him, my brother, because we have to take into account that right now he's in his mid-30s. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about he took a nasty beating and he's been inactive for 2 years after that. So we don't know how he's going to look inside the ring. He pulled out of a fight with Fondora, which would have been a title shot. He doesn't have a fight lined up right now. And recently I seen Frank the Ghost Martin in an interview where he says, look, he's training, he's in good shape, but right now he's focused on investing, buying properties. He's not really in it like that. I don't even know if he's going to box. So with an Errol Spence who isn't really focused on fighting right now, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know if he's ever going to come back, to be honest. He hinted at coming back. He says, look, I said I'll come back when I'm ready. Let's see. Maybe he gets offered the right fight, the right deal when he comes back. Can he get to his winning ways? I don't know, my brother. Honestly, I don't know. I find it hard to say yes, but I also can't write him out. Errol Spence is a great fighter. I just don't know where he's at this age, with this time of inactivity and coming off of that beatdown. I don't know where he's at. Hitchens Campbell about to be Haney Campbell 3. Let's see, bro. Because I'm going to tell you something. Richardson Hitchens, he's had a couple of performances where he didn't look real good, where he, struggled versus his opponents. So let's see. But I will say Cambosa's style is kind of tailor-made for Richardson Hitchens. So, the way that he counterpunches, that long jab, that footwork, I think he's going to put hands on George Kambosos. Maker, you think a lot of fans turned away from Keyshawn after the 4 pounds plus headbutt? I mean, a lot of fans are upset about it right now, and a lot of fans are talking about it in a negative way. But this is something that just happened a couple of days ago. We got to see going forward, because imagine his next fight. It's a sold out venue. Does great numbers on TV. Then the fans really turn away from him. So I'm not gonna say that fans turned away. I will say that fans are not happy about it for sure. Boys be crying. He hurt himself yesterday. He posted something I heard not confirmed yet. Who are you referring to, my brother? Who hurt himself? Angry Mexican. Keyshawn mental seems fragile and immature, unlike Abdullah, who is only 21. I mean, Keyshawn has been public about it. He struggled with mental health issues, but that's something that you work on. I wouldn't knock him for that. Angry Mexican. Keyshawn mental seems fragile. Oh, yeah, I just read that. Boxing on paper. I really thought Keyshawn was cooking with all the media he did before the win. He said some crazy stuff on Ariel Helwani and at the presser. Dang, I was disappointed. Yeah, I was real disappointed too. My brother Keyshawn Davis was talking about, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to knock him out. I was like, oh, shit. Keyshawn trying to put him to sleep. And now we're not getting a fight. We never got a fight. Boys be crying. That Pac versus Barrio fight will change a lot in boxing. Huge play and match-making possibilities. I mean, we're going to see how this fight plays out. Let's see. Is Manny Pacquiao going to get old in front of our eyes? Are we going to watch him take a beating? Or is it going to be a super competitive fight where he loses, but we're asking for a rematch? He deserves it or something like that. Or will Manny Pacquiao pull off the upset? That remains to be seen. But I will tell you, I would not write him off. Taking into account the fact that Manny Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman at 40 years old, and we all thought Keith Thurman was going to put the beats on him. And Manny Pacquiao did his thing. So I don't think you should write him off. That's what I'm going to say. And if Manny Pacquiao wins that fight, everybody's going to want in on the Manny Pacquiao sweepstake. Of course, Boots is going to want that fight because he's trying to become undisputed. Keith Thurman is going to want that fight because he wants his rematch. Devin Haney is going to want that fight because he would love the opportunity. Teofimo would like that fight. Tank Davis would like that fight. Everybody is going to want to fight Manny Pacquiao. And if he beats Mario Barrios, will he retire right away a world champion? I don't know. I think if he beats Barrios, he's going to want to defend the title versus a hungry lion. That's just me. That's just me seeing the warrior in Manny Pacquiao. Boys be crying. Tito Mercado was on a panel with Tito supporters while doing homework, and they say Tito posted a disappointing emoji with the message that he hurt himself, so he out. Still glad that Los Santos got paid. Yeah, that's what's up. I won't mind him getting a tune-up. That Los Santos may need the money, especially after his health problem. And now, he's been inactive for a long time. If you think about it, his last fight was when he lost to Shakur. So that's a lot of inactivity. You're not making no money. And then it's not just that you're not making no money, bro. You spent a whole training camp. That shit costs a lot of money too. Now how he gonna pay for train? If he didn't get paid, imagine they didn't pay him. How he was gonna pay for the training camp? He was gonna be in debt till the next fight. So I'm glad they pay him. And then look at Keyshawn too. Keyshawn took a loss because he didn't get paid. But guess what? That's a lot of money in his training camp. You got good trainers, good gym, good equipment, good resources. Trust me, that training camp costs a nice chunk of money. But I agree, I agree with those who are holding Keyshawn Davis accountable because they made a horrible mistake. So you didn't get paid. You not only that you lost getting paid, but you lost money with that training camp. And I think they'll learn from this. I think this is an experience that'll, going forward will make them think about it. Like, yo, hold on. Let's not allow an argument to turn into physical. You should not allow that to happen. That's why security, they're the ones who handle business for you. Your security staff. That's what they're there for. Not yourself. We not in the hood. We not broke. We not struggling. We don't gotta be wilding out on people. Come on now. I understand that they was upset that Kelvin lost the fight. Obviously, it stinks. His first loss of his career. And we just finding out Keyshawn Davis is not fighting tonight. He's not getting paid. So I know that the mood is not a good one for them. Juice Man won his fight. Keon did his thing. So y'all got that part of it to celebrate. But bad move, bad decision, bad actions, and hopefully we won't see that again from the team. MAW, hello boxing fans, Jay in chat. Subscribe, share, and smash that like button, please, folks. MAW, what's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. But yeah, man, the whole situation with Keyshawn Davis, unfortunate. I hope that going forward, we're gonna see a different attitude with that team, different behavior. And Abdullah Mason, like I said, man, he's ready for a title shot. I know he's only 21 years old, but look at his last fight. How sharp. Those combinations. The speed. Abdullah Mason was filthy. MAW. Immature professionalism by Keyshawn and Keon. Shaking my head. It wasn't Keon, it was Kelvin. Keon didn't do nothing. That's what I'm hearing. Or what I've seen in multiple reports. It was Keyshawn and Kelvin. Yeah, you could say that was immature. You could say that was unprofessional. And I've seen a post that there's some type of video of Keyshawn Davis addressing the situation. I'm going to check it out. I'm guessing that he apologized. But, it makes the whole team look bad. Hopefully, they'll change and we won't see this type of action again. Boys be crying. Munguia B sample result will be known this or next week most likely. And I have a feeling big card announcement will happen. Listen, bro. When an A sample tests positive, I don't think I have ever seen a B sample test negative. Ever. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, my brother. Real talk. Boys be crying. When do you see De Los Santos back? I hope on the tank card. Well, De Los Santos just went through a full training camp right now. So he'll be ready to come back. A full training camp, paid, and no punishment because he didn't fight. So De Los Santos can fight, come back next month. In 2 weeks, he's on weight right now. He's ready for as soon as possible. Unlaced. Salute, my G. I'm on the treadmill putting in that work right now. Let's go. Ooh, my brother on lace, getting that running. Do your thing, my brother. That's what's up. By the way, Tank Davis and Lamar Roach, that fight is approaching us, my peoples. And I told y'all, I feel like Lamar Roach is going to pull off the upset. Tank Davis, he's talking about retirement. He's talking about fighting Jake Paul at the end of the year and all that. I think Lamar Roach could mess up those plans. That boy can fight. Y'all saw it. Y'all saw 12 rounds of Lamar Roach already. Don't doubt him. Boys be crying. You think Jaime needs to run it back with Saras? Saras already expressed his disappointment in this situation. What's next for Saras? So, I think Saras' team is going to pursue for the decision to be overturned. Yes, sir. I seen Saras actually, I can't remember if he tweeted about it or if it was a video, but Saras expressed that this decision needs to be overturned, that he went to Mexico and beat him fair and square, and they need to give him a fair shot. They need to overturn that decision. So, let's see. Let's see how it plays out. But the B sample, my brother's going to come positive. Because let me tell you something. The only way a B sample comes back negative now is if the one that tested positive, if it was maybe put in a tainted tube or somewhere along the way it got tainted with steroids. So the B sample, which didn't get tainted, is going to be clean. The probabilities, man, we got better chances of winning the damn lottery than these guys got of a B sample tested negative. Put it to you like that, bro. MAW, De Los Santos versus Mason for full WBO 135 belt, maybe. Keyshawn versus Teo for 140 WBO. So check this out, MAW. I was saying that earlier. Abdullah Mason is going to be mandated. We already know he's going to be mandated to fight for that WBO belt. And now we got De Los Santos, who was getting a title shot versus Keyshawn Davis, and he didn't get it because of the weight situation. Keyshawn got stripped, which ultimately led to De Los Santos not getting his title shot. So, should De Los Santos simply get a title shot for that vacant strap? That WBO title is going to be vacant. So, I said that earlier, that Edwin De Los Santos versus Abdullah Mason may be fighting next for that WBO belt. That's an interesting matchup. Tough matchup. Abdullah Mason, he showed that he's special. That's it. He's special. He's been showing it, but his last fight, he was just filthy. So, I'm still rocking with Abdullah Mason winning that fight versus Edwin De Los Santos. But we know what De Los Santos bring to the table. Let's see. I hope that, he's experienced a lot of inactivity. I hope De Los Santos gets a fight soon, because right now, you got to think about it, he's on weight. He went through a full training camp to fight Keyshawn Davis. So De Los Santos is ready to fight. They could tell him, fight next week. Fight in a couple of weeks and he'll be ready. So let's see. Hopefully De Los Santos will be back in the ring soon. And As far as Teofimo Lopez and Keyshawn Davis at 140, I love that fight. Now, you know that Teofimo was toying with the idea of fighting Jerron Boots Ennis at the welterweight division. So we also have to see, will Teofimo fight at 140 or is he going straight up to welterweight? We'll see. And of course, Keyshawn Davis, who will be making his debut, I'm expecting at the 140 division, who's going to be his first opponent once he gets there. That's going to be interesting, my brother. Very, very interesting. BIFFCO, Garcia is finished. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think he's finished. I think we'll see Ryan Garcia in big fights and do good and win some more. MAW, every fighter that tested positive always cries innocent. But how often have they actually been innocent? Take it on the chin, Munguia. Doesn't look good for Reynoso either. Yeah, I gotta say, man, you know, when it comes to Munguia, it's not a good look that he tested positive in a rematch versus the guy who beat him. And it doesn't look good for Eddie Reynoso because at this point, how many of his fighters have tested positive for steroids? So that's kind of a funny coincidence. So I got to agree with you on that. Patrick Jane, are you Mexican? No. Boxing, boys be crying. Sam Noki versus Mason will happen, most likely. This will be easy money, just like comparing resumes. I don't know, man. I don't know, because it's like I told you. When it comes to Edwin De Los Santos, he was lined up for a title shot. So you can't discount him. He was about to fight for a title shot this Saturday. So let's see. Will he pursue it? Will he say, yo, I'm the one that deserved this title shot? Let's see. Boys be crying. I would like to see that brother Vasquez, who knocked down Mason, fight someone. I mean, Vasquez, he's a good fighter, a tough fighter. I think he could give someone some tough competition, but I don't think that he's going to beat one of the world champions or nothing like that. But I will say he hits hard, obviously, tough fighter, and he has a fun style to watch. He's going to bang it out. He's in there to bang it out with you. Unlaced, 6 fighters he trained tested positive. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to Eddie Reynoso and all his fighters, or not all of them, that would be an exaggeration, but many of his fighters tested positive, it makes it suspicious. The other day I was asking, is Eddie Reynoso the plug? Is he the one, hooking them up with the substance? I don't know. And it's funny because I said that, and the very same day Canelo goes on an interview and says that Eddie Reynoso does not supply Munguia with his supplements. That Eddie Reynoso only trains him, but does not give him supplements. But does Eddie Reynoso call the guy that gave him the supplements? Like, yo, I got this dough, hook him up. He don't necessarily got to do a hand-to-hand transaction with Munguia. He could call up the plug. I don't know if that's what's happening, but too many Eddie Reynoso fighters testing positive. That's not a good look. And it's not proof of guilt, but it's definitely suspicious. It's definitely suspicious. You got to admit it. Vic G, is Fimo with PBC now? So there hasn't been any official announcement to suggest that he is with PBC. I hear people talking about it. The most I've heard is people say that he's going to PBC, but I don't know. I think if Teofimo Lopez signs with PBC, there's going to be a major announcement, and there's going to be a fight or multiple fights attached to that contract. I don't think he's just going to fight, a 2-fight deal, let's say, with no names behind those 2 fights. I think it's going to be all A 2-fight deal. He's gonna fight this person, and then he's gonna fight that person. Maybe if he signs with Teofimo, if Teofimo Lopez signs with PBC, we can hope for Teofimo Lopez versus Tank Davis. We can hope for that fight. I know, Tank been ducking all the best fighters. Tank been ducking the best fighters at 135 and at 140. But if Teofimo Lopez signs with PBC, then there is that possibility that we could get Teofimo versus Tank. That could happen. That can actually happen. Now, y'all know we got Tank Davis versus Lamar Roach coming up. And look, man, this may sound controversial, my peoples, but Lamar Roach got what it takes to beat Tank Davis. To all those people who told me, oh, Lamar Roach is going to knock him out. Tank Davis is going to knock him out. Somebody told me yesterday Tank Davis is going to knock him out by the 4th round. No, my peoples. What exactly did you see in that first fight that tells you Tank Davis is going to knock him out? Lamar Roach was never hurt, was never dropped, was never wobbled in any way. Lamar Roach was never even with his back up against the ropes and getting beat up or anything like that. There was never a moment in that fight where it looked like Tank Davis was going to knock Lamar Roach out. So if we saw 12 rounds of action and Tank Davis didn't even hurt Lamar Roach, explain to me how would you believe that now in the rematch Tank is just going to knock him out? What did you see in that first fight to tell you Tank was going to knock Lamar Roach out? Because I didn't see anything. I didn't see absolutely anything in that fight to tell me that Tank could knock Lamar Roach out. Of course, Tank got that power. One punch, he knocked anybody out. Can he land it on Lamar Roach? He wasn't able to in 12 rounds. MAW. Doesn't look good that Teo will fight Boots at 147, but went to cash weight for Devin and walked away from what would have been his biggest payday. Shaking my head. Teo versus Tank will likely end up at 136 like Ryan. Nah, no way, my brother. With Teofimo trying to fight Boots at 147, I don't see him fighting Tank at no 136, bro. And he's already a champion at 140. No way. No possibility. He goes down to 136. I don't know, man. A catch weight with Tank Davis moving up 1 pound. I don't see that, bro. Plus, Tank already fought at 140. So I think they'll meet in that division. I think they will. At least that's my thoughts on it. But, Teofimo actually spoke his piece about why he didn't fight Devin. And he says that it's because Devin is of a certain religion. We know Devin Haney's Muslim, right? And His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh is Muslim. So Teofimo Lopez is suggesting that there's going to be bias in Devin Haney's favor, and the only way he could win that fight is by knocking Devin out. He felt like if he won on the cards, they was going to cheat him. So he pulled out because of that. That's what he said. Boxing on paper. One fight I really want to hear your take on is David Morrell's next fight. Iman Kataev is a strong, hungry guy. You think it's a 50-50 fight? I don't think it's a 50-50 fight. I think David is in favor of David Morrell. It's a tough fight. It's not going to be an easy win. But I think David Morrell is the more skilled fighter. And we're going to see it. David Morrell is going to outbox him. So it is good. He can fight. And he's going to win rounds. Land some good shots. But ultimately, David Morrell is going to outbox him. And win on the cards. I think it goes to a decision. Damn, it could even be a stoppage. But, this guy, he can take a shot. It could go 12 rounds, and I got David Morrell winning on the cards. Or 10 rounds. Is this an eliminator? I'm not sure. But it could go the distance, and I got David Morrell walking out of there with the W. MAW. Tank would try those strong arm A-side tactics to get an advantage over Teo if Teo wants that fight, in my humble opinion. I mean, I think that, Tank is going to be the A-side, so a lot of things are going to be done the way his team wants it done. But as far as the weight, I think that they would meet up at 140 so that Tank could be fighting for Teofimo Lopez's title. I think that's quite possible. But I also understand the idea that Tank would try to make it a catch weight and stuff like that. I just don't know. I think with Teofimo Lopez, he was toying with the idea of fighting Boots at welterweight. I can't see him now fighting at 136 or something like that. That I think that would be too much. I think he knows that he can't make that weight comfortably, and go fight and be good. Maker, Morel Berlanga, a possibility. David Morrell versus Edgar Berlanga, is that a possibility? I don't think so, because Berlanga, he's back down fighting. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, Berlanga's back down fighting at 160 right now. He's back down fighting at 160, and David Morrell fought at 168. Is at 168, right? Eric Gomes, it's Canelo's world. You're just in it. It's Canelo's world. Canelo's the face of boxing. RJ, Teo stops, Keyshawn. I don't know, my brother, because Teofimo Lopez and Keyshawn Davis hasn't happened or doesn't happen because Teofimo don't want to fight him. So Keyshawn Davis is up for that fight. He wants that fight. It's Teo who's not about it. RJ, Morrell beats Munguia. David Morrell versus Munguia. I mean, I like that fight. Yeah, I think David Morrell outboxes Munguia. I think so. Damn, bro said Morrell beats Bumlanga. Yo, why you gotta do him like that, bro? Listen, Berlanga has a tough opponent in front of him. Hamza Shiraz can fight. Even though he lost and got gifted a W versus Carlos Adames, but Hamza Shiraz can fight. So if Berlanga can beat Hamza Shiraz, he'll make me a believer in him. You gotta beat him. Mr. Cayo, Teo is also respectable champion. If Tank and Teo fight, Tank gotta go up. Before Plant goes, we need Plant versus Charlo, Plant versus Berlanga. So I say Teo versus Tank should happen at 140 for Teofimo's title. That's where it should happen at. And as far as before Plant goes, I definitely want to see him fight Charlo and Berlanga. I want to see him fight. You know how boxing is, man. As soon as a fighter loses, oh, he's a hype job, oh, he's not that good, or the shit starts. But at the end of the day, Caleb Plant is a top level fighter. He can hang in there with the best of them, and he still can fight. So hell yeah, I want to see him with Charlo and with Berlanga. Those are two fights that I want for him for sure. My peoples, I'm about to end this live. Before I do, I want to give a shout out to everybody who came through. Mr. Kyle, RJ, Maker, Eric Gomes, MAW, Boxing on Paper, Vic G, Unlace, Boxing Be Crying, Patrick Jane, and everybody else who came through. I appreciate you guys. Y'all already know what it is, man. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center. This is your favorite boxer's favorite boxing show. Don't forget to subscribe, my peoples. Don't forget. Damn, I got 9 likes. I was rocking with y'all for a whole hour, and y'all gave me 1 like. Damn, yo, y'all treated me today like I'm a C-level fighter out here getting pummeled. Mr. Kayo, plan not done. He just needs to lose the first half on purpose and try to keep that gas tank on full. Mr. Kayo, peace, my brother. Yo, everybody, y'all already know what it is, man. Peace, salute, bam. And I'll see y'all later today. By the way, y'all already know Richardson Hitchens, George Cambozas, they're going to be fighting this Saturday. I'm going to be calling it live. Y'all going to get the Jay Smith commentary. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. A lot of y'all have missed out on my commentary for the fights. You don't know what you're missing out on, my peoples. And remember what I told you before. Keep that in mind. Box Center is going to be the #1 boxing channel on YouTube. Not number 3, not number 4, not number 2. #1 is the inevitable. Y'all already know what it is, my peoples. I'm out of here. I'm going to see y'all later. Bam.